ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are reading from the book Pramana Vicara, an inquiry into the nature of knowledge by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. We are about to commence on the section titled Moola Pramanam. Moola Pramanam. This Pratyaksha Pramanam is called Moola Pramanam. Moola Pramanam means the basic Pramanam for every human being. The theory of Big Bang is born purely of eyesight. With a huge telescope, you scan the sky and you're able to measure the time taken for the light to reach the eyes now, the observer's eye, which is the eyepiece. At the other end is the source of light several light years away. The distance light can travel in 1 year is called 1 light year. You can talk of distance in terms of time. In America, for example, they'll always say things like, I'm 2 hours away from JFK. Suppose the sky is clear tonight and you can see the stars. The light would have started hundreds, thousands of years ago from a given star. Tonight that light is picked up by your eyes. Now, with available technology and instruments, they are able to pick up light over 12 billion light years away. That's the Big Bang. You see the universe in its infancy from here. At that point, the planets were not there, not even as a possibility. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, was also not there. The whole theory of evolution has been developed from Pratyaksha Jnanam, direct perception. Theories are based upon our own basic data, the sensory data. You can have complex theories that require hundreds and thousands of logical steps, but the whole theory is based upon what data these eyes and ears bring in. Therefore, Pratyaksha is called Moola Pramana, the basic means of knowledge. Moola means base of it. It is the means of knowledge on which the other Pramanams are based. Two types of Pratyaksha Pramanams. Pratyaksha Pramanam is divided into two types. One is called Indriya Pratyaksha, that which is objectified directly by the senses. The other is called Sakshi Pratyaksha, witness perception. Sakshi Pratyaksha is also direct perception, but without involving the senses. Back pain is a direct perception, and emotion is a direct perception, time is a direct perception. In all these, none of the five senses is involved. This Sakshi Pratyaksha forms the basis for a body of knowledge called psychology. This valid body of knowledge connects various behaviors to the unconscious. This emotion is due to a dysfunctional home or due to alcoholism at home, etc. Emotions, sense of loneliness, experience of fear are all Sakshi Pratyaksha. There may be a situation outside which does not really call for fear but calls for objective action, yet it induces fear. The situation may only be a triggering point for fear unless a tiger is standing outside. Fear does not solve the problem. Fear is already there. All that is required is a triggering point. Similarly, anger is already there. Pain is there, and therefore anger is there. Somebody has only to trigger that anger. These emotions are in the unconscious. The emotions, memories, and other thoughts in the Antakaranam are all Sakshi Pratyaksha, witness perception without involvement of the senses. Next section, Anumana, inference. We arrive at the unconscious by inference using Sakshi Pratyaksha or Indriya Pratyaksha as the basis for that inference. That there is an unconscious is an inferred knowledge. With a certain background, we can infer that this would be the emotional response. This is a valid means. It is inferential because one can observe a similar manifestation of emotion in people with similar background. Therefore, you can arrive at a generalization, a general rule. Such general rules keep adding up and we have a body of knowledge called psychology. Sakshi Pratyaksha and Indriya Pratyaksha, the twofold Pratyakshas, are the basis for all inferences. However, inference is a pramanam on its own. There's a footnote here. There are people called Charvakas, materialists, who accept only Pratyaksha, direct perception, as a pramanam. They do not accept any other pramanams, including inference. Anumiyate anena iti anumanam. That by which something is inferred is anumanam. This means of knowledge is generally based on pratyaksha. Once direct perception is there, based on that something can be inferred. Our daily life is full of anumanams. You put a kettle on the stove and you attend to some other work, then you hear the sound of the steam. You know the water has boiled, anumanam. Take another example. You're talking to your friends while eating, your plate was full of food items, and then when you look again, you do not find anything on the plate. So you may make an inference that you must have eaten. There is a company called Brook Bond, famous for its tea. In Coimbatore, they are based in a place called Brook Bond Road. We found out that Brook Bond also makes coffee from the aroma of coffee that we picked up as we drove to the street. That is called inference. Pratyaksha Pramanam provides you data with or without additional instrument for inference. On the basis of data, you reason and arrive at a conclusion. Its validity depends on how good the reasoning is. Therefore, you hone the reason and make sure that your reason has no deficiency. Let us look at an example. A human being has two legs. Therefore, can we say that any living being that has two legs is a human being? If so, what about a crane? What about a crow? You cannot draw a conclusion that if something has two legs, it must be a human being. You have to define it correctly, tightly. When you create a definition, it should apply only to that object of definition without any exception. This is called lakshanam. So there's a footnote here. A lakshanam should be free of three types of defects. The type of defect exemplified here is called ativyapti, extension. Other types of defects are avyapti and asambhava. How anumanam is done can be explained with the help of a stock example. Parvataha vahniman, the mountain has fire. Vahni means fire, vahniman means that which has fire. Parvataha, the mountain, is one word, vahniman is another word, predicated to parvata. Parvataha vahniman, the mountain has fire. This statement about the mountain was made without actually seeing the fire. That it has fire is an inference. If you see the fire, it is not an inference. And then it will be pratyaksha, direct perception. Then how can you say that there is fire on the mountain without actually saying it? What is your basis? Because you see clouds of smoke billowing from the mountain. If there were merely clouds or fog, then the mountain is only cloud man or fog man, that is, it has clouds or it has fog. In that case, if you say the mountain has fire, you have to correct yourself. You do not have adequate data or have improper, unconnected data. You cannot have certainty of knowledge. You cannot draw a conclusion that wherever there is fog, there must be fire. If you so conclude, then quite obviously the mind is foggy, therefore the conclusion is soggy. In order to conclude parvataha vahniman, you have to make sure that it is dhumavan. Dhuma means smoke. Make sure that what you see on the mountain is smoke. You know this is really smoke. You ascertain properly. Proper ascertaining is part of making an inference. This conclusion, parvataha dhumavan, is born of pratyaksha, perception. Mountain is pratyaksha, smoke is pratyaksha, making the mountain having smoke pratyaksha, but presence of fire is not pratyaksha but inferred. Vyapti, invariable connection. Suppose you say that Parvataha, the mountain, has clouds of smoke and therefore there is a lake. If you say that, I will make another inference. Since you are making a nice conclusion there is a lake, I conclude you have a brain. How do I arrive at that conclusion? I am able to arrive at that conclusion because there is thinking, without which, right or wrong, you cannot conclude anything. Therefore, you have a brain. But the fact is that there is no connection, no vyapti between the smoke and a lake, no connection at all. We are very good in these connectionless pursuits. Most of our lives are connectionless pursuits. If someone says, I arrive at the conclusion there is a lake and he sees there is smoke because he has personal experience, then we can only say he needs to visit Kilpauk. So the footnote here, Kilpauk, an English version of Kilpakam, is an area in Chennai having one of the oldest mental asylums in the country. So figuratively, Kilpauk means mental asylum. Let us examine what this word vyapti means. You have knowledge that wherever there is smoke, there is fire. There is no smoke without fire. There may be fire without smoke, but there cannot be smoke without fire. Now we have some knowledge. Vyapti jnanam. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vahani. Wherever there is smoke, there must be fire. This vyapti jnanam is generally gained by repeatedly seeing the invariable connection between the two in everyday life. Example is important because it reveals the vyapti. Wherever there is smoke, I find there is fire. There is smoke in the chimney, and therefore I know there is fire down below in the Mahanasa, in the kitchen. In the kitchen, I see the smoke and there is fire. This is certainly true in the old style of cooking. There was smoke in the kitchen because wood was used as fuel. Suppose smoke comes out of somebody's head because of inner pressure, because there's something going on inside, something highly volcanic. There is eruption and smoke comes out to the ears. There is fire inside. Quote, blow one stop, unquote, is a common expression. This other smoke is figurative. It is a figure of speech which has, like many other expressions, crept into the language from certain facts. However, that is not vyapti. Vyapti is a connection. If one is there, the other is invariably there. When smoke is there, fire is invariably there. Not a lake or any other thing. There is only fire. This is called vyapti. Without this vyapti jnanam, knowledge of this invariable connection, you cannot draw an inference. Scientists use this vyapti jnanam often. When a scientist discovers a certain fact, he is able to connect it to another fact. There is invariable concomitance and therefore he can draw a conclusion. He has got vyapti jnanam. You increase your vyapti jnanam by education in different disciplines of knowledge. This study of medicine also uses vyapti jnanam. There is a normal temperature of the human body. If there is an increase of temperature, then there must be a reason for it. What is that reason? In earlier times, doctors would make an educated guess, making use of their experience because there was no laboratory test. Now doctors cannot afford to guess. Even if he is sure there is some stomach infection, he cannot take it for granted. He must have proper documentation. So he will give provisionally some general medicine and then get a laboratory test done. He will refer you to a particular laboratory because he is very sure they will do a good job. When the test results come, it shows that this may be an infection or an inflammation. They have to negate what it is not. The doctor draws an inference using a vyapti. The vyapti is that increase in body temperature cannot be there without a cause like infection. Then laboratory tests will determine what the infection is, what antibiotic the virus will respond to, etc. Therefore, vyapti jnanam applied to a pratyaksha is the basis for any inference. Paksha, locus of inference. Vyapti jnanam is the basis for the conclusion, inferential conclusion. This conclusion is about the paksha, the location, the place where the conclusion is located. In our example, the location of the fire is on the parvata, mountain. The conclusion is that there is fire on the mountain. Where the conclusion is with reference to what there is in a conclusion is called paksha. What is the dharma of the paksha? That it has clouds of smoke. Suppose I say the mountain has fire. Can I arrive at this conclusion because there is smoke on top of my house? Clearly no. Smoke on top of my house means that there is fire in my house, not on the mountain. If I have to infer fire in the paksha, in this case the mountain, then the paksha must have smoke. Paksha dharma is the hetu. Here the hetu, the reason, is dhuma, smoke. The parvata is dhumavan. Dhuma is the dharma of the paksha, parvata. The postulate is yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vahnihi. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That is the postulate. Paksha dharma is the hetu, the reason. You cannot say the mountain has fog because you see smoke billowing out from the mountain. You cannot say that because the paksha dharma, smoke on the mountain, is not the hetu for fog. Therefore, in Anumanam, we have to make sure that all these factors are proper and correct. Where and with reference to what are you making a conclusion? The fire is on the mountain. Did you see it? No, I did not. Then it is not pratyaksha. Yes, it is not pratyaksha. But still, I say there is fire. How are you so sure? How do you call it valid knowledge? Not having seen the fire, I am sure of it because I see the smoke. What is the connection between smoke and fire? The connection is that wherever there is smoke, there is fire. There is no smoke without fire. You get inference now. Where did you get this vyapti? I see it in the kitchen all the time. This is the basic anumanam. It is a valid means of knowledge. We might say, yo yo dhumavan sa sa vahniman. I have this vyapti jnanam and I now see parvata dhumavan, the mountain having smoke. Therefore, I conclude parvataha vahniman, the mountain has fire. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.